Sutra 2.49 Tasmin sati svasa prasvasa yogati vichcheda pranavyama. Tasmin means on this. Sati means being, accomplished. Svasa means in-breath, inhalation. Prasvasayo means out-breath, exhalation. Gati means movement, motion, path, course, way. Vichcheda means cessation, stoppage, interruption. Pranayama means breath or vital force. Ayama means ascension, extension, and expansion or length, breadth and circumference. Regulation of breath, expansion of the life force or vital energy by regulation of breath. Tasmin sati svasa prasvasa yogati vichcheda pranayama. Pranayama is the regulation of the incoming and outgoing flow of breath with retention. It is to be practiced only after perfection in asana is attained. Sutras 2.49 to 5.3 describe pranayama and its effects. Pranayama, the fourth constituent of yoga, is what the heart is to the human body. It is interesting to note that Patanjali expressly advises the sadhaka to do pranayama only after attaining perfection in asana. For the first time, he shows a distinct step in the ascent of the ladder of yoga, whereas he has not stipulated progression for the other aspects. Normally, the flow of breath is unrestrained and irregular. Observing these variations and conditioning the mind to control the inflow, outflow, and retention of the breath in a regular rhythmic pattern is pranayama. Prana is an auto-energizing force which creates a magnetic field in the form of the universe and plays with it, both to maintain and to destroy for further creation. It permeates each individual as well as the universe at all levels. It acts as physical energy, as mental energy, where the mind gathers information, and as intellectual energy with a discriminative faculty, where information is examined and filtered. This same prana acts as sexual energy, spiritual energy, and cosmic energy. All that vibrates in the universe is prana. Heat, light, gravity, magnetism, vigor, power, vitality, electricity, life, and spirit are all forms of prana. It is the cosmic personality, potent in all beings and non-beings. It is the prime mover of all activity. It is the wealth of life. This self-energizing force is the principle of life and of consciousness. It is the creation of all beings in the universe. All beings are born through it and live by it. When they die, their individual breath dissolves into the cosmic breath. Prana is not only the hub of the wheel of life, but also of yoga. Everything is established in it. It permeates life, creating the sun, the moon, the clouds, the wind, the rain, the earth, and all forms of matter. It is both the being, Sat, and non-being, Asat. Each and every thing or being, including man, takes shelter under it. Prana is the fundamental energy and the source of all knowledge. Prana, meaning energy, and Chitta, meaning consciousness, are in constant contact with each other. They are like twins. Prana becomes focused where Chitta is, and Chitta where Prana is. In yogic texts, it is said that as long as the breath is still, Prana is still, and hence Chitta is still. All types of vibrations and fluctuations come to a standstill when Prana and Chitta are steady and silent. The wise yogis studied this connection between breath and consciousness and advocated the practice of pranayama to stabilize energy and consciousness. The word pranayama consists of two components, prana and ayama. Prana is energy, when the self-energizing force embraces the body. Ayama means stretch, extension, expansion, length, breadth, regulation, prolongation, restraint, and control. When this self-energizing force embraces the body with extension, expansion, and control, it is pranayama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the story is told of how the nectar of immortality was produced through the churning of the ocean. This story, as will be understood from the interwoven explanation, symbolizes what takes place in the human body in the practice of pranayama. The strength of the asuras, meaning demons, alarmed the devas, meaning angels, who, fearing that vice would dominate virtue, approached Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, who in turn approached Lord Vishnu, the protector of the universe, for help. Lord Vishnu suggested the churning of the ocean to bring out the nectar, Amrita, of immortality hidden in it. He advised the devas to discuss with the demons the effects of the nectar, and to persuade them to jointly churn the ocean. Lord Vishnu said he would do the rest. The angels and demons decided to use Mount Meru as the churn stuff for the churning, and Lord Adishesha, the serpent, the couch of Lord Vishnu, as the rope for whirling the mountain. Plants, creepers, various grasses and herbs were gathered together and thrown into the ocean as raw materials, so that they might be churned to produce the nectar of life. According to Ayurveda, the body is made up of 7 constituents, or dhatus, and 3 permeating humors, or doshas. The 7 elements are so called because they sustain the body. They are chile, or rasa, blood, or rakta, flesh, or mamsa, fat, or meda, bones, or ashti, marrow, or majja, and semen, or shukra. They keep the body immune from infection and diseases. They are churned together in pranayama for the production of the nectar of life. Mount Meru represents the spinal column. It acts as a whisk to churn the breath to produce energy. Lord Adishesha represents Shushumna. It is the rope which dashes or controls the spine in respiration. The head and tail of Adishesha represent the Pingala and Ida nadis, or energy channels, or the upward and downward course of the in and out breath. Ida also corresponds to the parasympathetic nervous system in Western medical terminology, Pingala with the sympathetic nervous system, and Shushumna with the central nervous system. As Adishesha was used as a rope for churning, so inhalation and exhalation are the two ends of the central nervous system, the rod that churns to create the energy that is then stored in the 7 chambers or chakras of the spine. Together they churn the in-breath and out-breath to generate the vital energy known as prana. To return to our story, as the churning began, Mount Meru sank deep into the ocean. Lord Vishnu, incarnated as Kurma, the tortoise, crept underneath the mountain and lifted it from the floor of the seabed so that it might float and the churning could continue. Several gems were generated as a result of the churning. The last to spring out of the ocean was the Amrita, the nectar of immortality. Purusha, or the soul, represents Lord Vishnu, and the body represents Prakriti, or nature. The body becomes the fountain for production, and the lord of the body is its generative force. Atman acts as a tortoise to lift and keep the diaphragm floating upwards, allowing the breath to come in contact with the inner elements of the body, that is, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and its 7 constituents, chile, blood, flesh, fat, bones, marrow, and semen, as well as the 10 types of vital energy, that is, prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, naga, kurma, krara, devdatta, and dhyanam jaya. Through the contact of these 7 constituents, the 10 vital energies, and with the help of the seer, the spine, and the breath, the elixir of life force is produced in the body. This prana is now known as bioenergy. As prana is a self-energizing force, it generates more power through the process of pranayama. The first thing to spring from the ocean was the poison called hala hala. This was swallowed by Lord Shiva, who alone was capable of absorbing it. This hala hala represents the toxic output of exhalation. The life elixir is produced by the 5 primary elements, which are its raw material. Earth is the base for production, and ether acts as a distributor of energy. Air is active in the process of breathing in and out. This stirs and creates a fusion of the elements of water and fire, which by nature are opposed to one another, resulting in the production of electrical energy known as life force. In Sanskrit, this is called ojas, spiritual luster. The generation and distribution of prana in the human system may be compared to the production and functioning of electrical energy. Stored water is stale. Running water has a dynamic, life-giving force. Water running with minimal force cannot generate electricity. Through the construction of a reservoir, water falls on turbines which whirl with speed and force for the production of energy. The energy of falling water or rising steam is made to rotate turbines with magnetic field to generate electricity. The power is stepped up or down by transformers which regulate the voltage or current. It is then transmitted along cables to light cities and run machinery. Prana is like the falling water or the rising steam. The thoracic area is the magnetic field. The practice of pranayama makes the spindles act as turbines and transmits the drawn-in energy to the remotest cells of the lungs for generating energy. The energy is accumulated in the chakras, which are situated in the spinal column and act as transformers. This energy generated in the thoracic cavity is like electricity. It is stepped up or down by the chakras and is distributed throughout the body through the transmission lines of the circulatory and nervous systems. The yogis discovered pranayama for making full use of this drawn-in energy so that it might maintain the entire human system comprising the respiratory, circulatory, nervous, digestive, excretory, and reproductive systems with optimum efficiency and harmony. In pranayama, the carpet of the mucous membrane of the nostrils filters and cleanses the breath as it enters in inhalation. Upon exhalation, sufficient time is given for the system to absorb the drawn-in energy so that the breath may mingle with the blood. This purified blood, filled with chemical properties and hormones, is called a constituent full of jewels, or the jewel of blood. Ratna Purita Dhatu. Full use of this absorption and reabsorption of energy will allow one to live 100 years with perfect health of body, clarity of mind, and equipoise of spirit. That is why the practice of pranayama is considered to be a great science and art. Sutra 2.50 Bhaya abhayantara stamba vritti desha kala samkhya bihi paridrishta dirgha shukshma. Bhaya means external. Abhyantara means internal. Stambha means restraint, suspension, a pause. Vrittihi means movement. Desha means place. Kala means time, duration. Samkhya bihi means number, precision, minuteness, reflection, deliberation. Paridrishta means regulated or measured. Dirgha means long in place and time, expansion, high. Sukshma means subtle, soft, minute, fine, exquisite. Bhaya abhayantara stambha vritti desha kala samkhya bihi paridrishta dirgha sukshma. Pranayama has three movements: prolonged and fine inhalation, exhalation and retention, all regulated with precision according to duration and place. The first three components of pranayama are regulated inhalation, exhalation, and retention. All are to be performed, prolonged and refined according to the capacity of the aspirant. The components are to be observed with regard to place, or desha, here meaning the torso, kala, indicating the length of breath, and samkhya, indicating precision. There are two types of retention in pranayama. They are the interruption of the breath flow following either the in or out breath, the movements of the breath and the pauses between them are regulated and prolonged according to the capacity of the lungs, or desha, the duration and measured regulation of the breath, or kala, and the degree of refinement and subtlety, that is samkhya, of the sadhaka. Mastery is attained by practicing in harmony with rhythmic regulation, that is paridrishta. Focus on the regulation of breath, prana vritti, exhalation, bahya vritti, inhalation, antara vritti, and retention, stambha vritti, is called sabija, meaning seed. Pranayama as attention is on the breath itself. Inhalation moves from the core of being, the seer, towards the consciousness. As Mahat, or cosmic intelligence, is the first principle for nature's activity, its individual counterpart, Chitta, acts to stir the soul to activity. The in-breath is made to touch the five sheaths of the body: Anandamaya, Vijnanamaya, Manomaya, Pranamaya, and Annamaya, or the elements Akasha, Vayu, Tej, Up, and Prithvi, while the out-breath touches in the reverse order. Bracing of the in-breath is the evolution of the soul, or the ascending order of the Purusha. When the self comes in contact with the physical body, inhalation is complete. Here the Purusha embraces Prakriti. The out-breath moves from the external body towards the seer, layer after layer. It is involution, or the descending order of Prakriti to meet its Lord Purusha. If the in-breath is the divine union of Purusha with Prakriti, the out-breath is the union of Prakriti with Purusha. Retention of the former is Antara Kumbhaka. Retention of the latter is Bhaya Kumbhaka. If Antara Kumbhaka establishes consecration of the seer, that is Swarupa Pratishta, Bhaya Kumbhaka frees one from the four aims of life, Purushartha Shunya. See Sutra 4.34. Sutra 2.51. Bhaya Abhayantara Vishaya Akshepi Chaturtha. Bhaya means external. Abhayantara means internal. Vishaya means region, sphere, an object, reference, aim, realm. Akshepi means passing over, gaining over, overcoming, transcending. Chaturtha means the fourth. Bhaya Abhayantara Vishaya Akshepi Chaturtha. The fourth type of pranayama transcends the external and internal pranayamas and appears effortless and non-deliberate. The fourth type of pranayama goes beyond the regulation or modulation of breath flow and retention, transcending the methodology given in the previous sutra. It is a state similar to Kevala Kumbhaka, which is mentioned in the Hatha Yoga texts and in the Yoga Upanishads. when the movement of the breath functions without one's volition or effort, the fourth stage of pranayama has been reached. The movements of the mind and consciousness cease. The flows of vital energy, intelligence, and consciousness come to a standstill except for subliminal impressions. This is like Virama Pratyaya, as explained in Sutra 1.18. A state of pause is experienced in both the breath and the mind. From this springs forth a new awakening, and the light of intelligence vigorously penetrates the sadhaka's innermost being. Since this fourth stage contains no restrictions, it transcends the range of movements described in the pranayamas of 2.50. It is therefore a seedless or nirbija pranayama.